to order at 7:05 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale, Tuesday, December 17th, 2013. If everyone will please rise to salute our nation's flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Levy.
Here.
Councilmembers Tomato.
Here.
Shortman. Here. Conklin. Della Ripa.
Here.
Sondermeyer.
Here.
Yazdi.
Thank you. Also with us, Ian McCarthy, our clerk, and Fred Semmer, our borough attorney. This official meeting of the governing body of the Borough of Bloomingdale on January 2nd, 2013. Public notification of the date and time was and place was faxed all over the media posted here at Borough Hall. As for state fire code, I'm to acknowledge two emergency exits, door which you came through, one to my left. If an emergency was to rise, please exit orderly down the stairs out of the building. Any questions, please raise your hand at this time. Just for the record, 7:07. Councilman Conklin, how are you?
Good, they do.
Good. There's no
Casual look, but
No, it's
yeah. Yeah, at least your kids helped you move the snow today when it was fired. I didn't, so put that out on record.
no need for early executive. We do not have any non-agenda. Okay. That's fine. Oh, my apologies. We have a second transfer that you should be copied on. I will read the transfer to the record in case the public has any questions on it. We are transferring from $11,610 from compensated absences. We had a few employees pretty much max out sick time due to leave of absences, medical reasons, etc. So we're transferring from there. Salary adjustment, transferring water and sewer O&E, $3,000, and zoning, salary, and wages, $2,000 for a total of $21,610. Transferring to legal, $2,000. And the reason for that is most of our bond ordinances we can fund the legal within, but we just did two recently on the leisure, recreational open space, and one other where we weren't able to fund within the bonds. We had to transfer, cover that. And then road, salary, wages, $19,610, which is overtime related to two storms so far, not counted today. Total $21,610. Okay, just so everyone has that. That's a non-agenda item.
Can I ask a question about the non-agenda? I know Mr. Semmer, Fred is going to be more on the question we had at the last meeting. That isn't part of the agenda. Will that be under reports professionals?
What? I'm sorry.
Fred's report on the $100,000 legal expenses that Mr. Miller had asked, and he said he would have the answer at this meeting.
Do you plan on providing a report?
What I did do is I got the information from the finance department and from the insurance company, and I gave a copy to Mr. Miller. I told him if he had any questions. But I gave him the totals. I didn't plan on speaking any further about it, but I gave him everything that he.
I guess my question is, if he has any questions, can he do it during the meeting?
Sure. I have no problem. So that's, again, we'll consider the only non-agenda item. Okay, need a motion for early public comment? Second. All in favor? Aye. Anyone wishing to speak to an agenda item, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
On behalf of 86 Van Dam Avenue. On the bills list, there was a $9,123.65 for Christmas spectacular, I guess, improvements to municipal building. What bond was being used to pay for this?
That was the capital that was established, transferred from old funds this year.
What bond? It was from a specific bond.
No, we did. We canceled old debt, reauthorized this year, and had, I don't know the bond number. It's the same bond that designated.
It's $400-something thousand.
Right, police car, road paving, municipal improvements.
And how long is that bond has been left, how long? You guys know about 10 years on it?
I'm not sure of the number of years on it.
And you're putting Christmas lights and decorations, and you're paying them off for a 10-year bond?
Well, they actually, it's funny you bring that up, because we discussed it with the council, and actually, we went to bond council, wasn't sure of the answer. They actually went to the state to get authorization that there's a 6-year warranty, so they last, as long as they have a life of 5 or more, they're eligible to be bonded. So yeah, that's really fun. It's the first investment on such in 30 years.
Yeah, but isn't that because in the past you said that you would only rent Christmas lights?
No, we did,
Yes, you did.
we leased in like 2004, we leased one time.
Right, and why now are you purchasing versus leasing?
Because the time back in 2004, I believe the cost was in excess of $11,000 just to lease for one season. So I believe the purchase rate was down more.
I don't think it's that much.
It wasn't.
Where are they being stored?
They will be stored at DPW. Matter of fact, DPW is doing, John and I, and Rich were there for a meeting on Monday. They actually are building a storage area, not just for Christmas lights, but they'll have a lot of nice clean rooms and they keep these safe.
So we're just spending money to store things, to buy money, to, okay. Freedom fences, there's $9,467 for freedom fences. What fences were these?
Again, he did a lot of fencing. I'm not specific. These, I think, are the bounds of Walter T. Bergen, and there was fencing installed on Glenwild Avenue for a safety reason. We had a culvert falling on the sidewalk, which the council authorized, so just to finish up what he was authorized to do.
You mentioned about that you're transferring money for the storms. How come the streets are terrible? And you weren't they out at all today? They aren't, the streets are terrible.
Yeah, they were out today. They, I believe, more aggressively started plowing later in the day because you can't really plow an inch of snow. I'm sure by when they leave this evening, it'll be, like our town always does. Great job.
This is the worst I've ever seen since I've lived here. And, I mean, that's over 12 years. The worst I've ever seen. It's shameful.
Really don't.
If I could say, I know they're out because I've been shoveling.
I just saw them now, but they have not been out today that much.
Okay, I was going to say, I know that they were out somewhere between 4:30 and 6 because I wasn't plowed at 4:30.
I mean, they're still
after
out.
shoveling, and I was when I went to my car at 6.
They had a normal garbage route day too. They leave garbage till noon, whatever their own schedule is. I respect your comments, but I respectfully disagree.
Excuse me?
I said I respect your comments, but I respectfully disagree.
You think the streets are good?
Again, it stopped snowing an hour ago.
No, it's not starting about 4 o'clock, later 4 o'clock.
So I'm not arguing what time it stopped snowing, so we'll talk to me in the morning and we'll see what permission we vote.
Social Security, so that your first bill went up $21,000 in the municipal building, municipal budget, and an additional $15,000 in water and sewer. And now you're transferring another $5,000 into Social Security. What salaries did you consider, and now you have this additional Social
The
Security?
additional Social Security is a result of hiring 2 new police officers as well as the overtime results in additional Social Security as well.
Where was the overtime from?
Excuse me?
Where is the
Well,
overtime?
it's part of the 19,000 payroll we're transferring, so the Social Security goes with that. But most of it is the police officers.
When were they hired?
When were they hired? Talking here, guys. In June, July.
So you budget for that?
They didn't know we were hiring. Budget time. We were given notice on retirements in May.
And, the resolution for the kid threshold.
Yes.
So now all purchases are going to be done by Tim Roberts?
You know, we've always had the QPA all year. This is just memorializing the resolution on the record. And we'll do one in 14 going forward for QPA. For Fred's office, we need to have a resolution done when you have a QPA. We authorized QPA months ago, January probably. But you know, between Jane and Fred, they realized the resolution needed to be done for people.
So who's going to be doing the purchasing?
Well, the purchasing is always authorized ultimately if it exceeds the bid threshold, the quote threshold, by the CFO.
Well, if you're going to be using the additional bid threshold according to 5:4.3.4-52. It states that the certification from the chief executive officer of the contracting unit, that the purchasing agent of the contracting unit exercises the duties of the purchasing agent. So if he's not doing the duties of the purchasing agent, you cannot use this additional bid threshold. So you just said that you're not going to be doing that?
Again, we have not, this particular year, I don't think we've exceeded, we haven't utilized the increased threshold at all this year.
It doesn't say just for the additional threshold, it says he's going to be doing the purchasing. And if you're doing the purchasing, then you can't use this additional
No,
bid.
what I stated a moment ago, the record, that the CFO will be doing the certification of funds and then the purchasing. Of course, finance is going to assist in the process. But ultimately, the CFO is the one that signs off on it, below within the statute.
But he's supposed to be contracting and he's supposed to be exercising the duties of the purchasing agent. If he's not doing that.
So
then
if DPW is to get 3 quotes on something that exceed, under the 36,000, exceed the 17.5, those quotes will be reviewed by the CFO for ultimate decision, authorization.
And with that other purchasing. He's
All
supposed to be
purchasing of this
responsible
fall.
for the purchasing of all of the purchasing, of the reporting unit, which is the municipality. All of the purchasing.
So what you're implying is that he should be calling the vendors and doing
That's what you should be doing, yes.
respectfully disagree, where department heads can organize pricing for him.
They don't go through the statute.
No, I don't think that's what it's saying.
I respectfully disagree. I think maybe if you look at the statute, that's being quoted in
No,
this.
it's not saying that the CFO should go out and get all the quotes.
He's responsible for it.
Right, that's what the mayor's saying, that the quotes are then submitted to the CFO. It doesn't say the CFO has to solicit.
Well, right now, the quotes aren't submitted to the CFO, they're submitted to the deleted. And that's not following the purchasing agent responsibilities program.
You're saying they're submitted to Mr. Dunleavy, and then what happens?
Then I guess he makes a decision and then he gives it over to him. But it's supposed to be done by the
But if
purchasing
he
agent.
gives it over to him, then it is being done by the CFO.
It's not being done, it's just being reviewed by, not being done by.
No, I disagree, that's his license, and I don't think that's fair to say about the CFO, because it's not rubber stamping anything, it's a qualified purchasing agent. I don't think there's any evidence to say that he's just rubber stamping things. That's
I
his
never
license.
say for extending it. I asked a specific question, who was going to be doing the purchasing? And it was going to be the purchasing agent, and I was told no. So that's what I'm trying to find out. Is the purchasing agent going to be doing the purchasing?
Yes, Mayor, there's a difference between soliciting the information and then signing off.
No.
And the CFO signs off. Absolutely. The solicitation of quotes would come from
Various departments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Agenda item, please come up. Seeing no one, motion to close.
I have a question. Linda Shortman, 2 West Shore Road. I'd like to have the answer that was given to Mr. Miller because the question was asked publicly. The question was about me. The question was about taxpayers' dollars, legal expenses of $100,000. So perhaps we could make public what the expenses were that I incurred.
I believe the information that was turned over states that there was about $91,000 paid to the municipal attorney and the land use board attorney. And then there was also $10,000 paid to the insurance carrier for the defense. So the total was approximately $100,000.
And that was caused by me.
You just asked about the total with respect to that case. That's what it means.
Okay, I got that answer. But it said that I caused that in 2010. I believe the $11,000 was billed by the JIF
Yes. That was
to cover a 2006 complaint by Mr. Del Judas. Is that correct?
I don't have the printout in front of me. It probably does total from 2006 to the conclusion of the case. There was a number of, there was really 2 filings, there's also intervention, where some parties intervened at the appellate division, so it stems, I ran it for the whole history of the case.
Was I one of the interveners?
No, you were not one of the interveners. There were other individuals who were.
And as I stated before, the interveners actually intervene on the part of the planning board, not on Mr. Del Giudis's part. And I have Mr. Semaro's letter of June 5th, 2007, stating that there was an adjournment of the 2006 case. So that complaint ended right there. The 2010 had absolutely nothing to do with me. I understand where the legal fees, the amounts of legal fees, but I think what I'm getting at is I am not responsible for those legal fees. Just as our present planning board just had an appeal, which cost the borough approximately $35,000, I'm sure none of you would feel that Ed Simone or any other member of that board was responsible for that expense. When you have volunteers who serve your borough, the reason we insure them is that's the reason, so that we have legal coverage for these people. It's part of doing business in the borough. Otherwise, I doubt if anyone would volunteer to sit on any boards. So I don't understand the statement that in 2010, $100,000 in tax money was spent by me. It is not true, and I stand here asking, I've been told people will acknowledge that, but nobody has acknowledged that. The facts are that whatever your legal fees were for 2010, they had nothing to do with me, either as a member of the planning board or in any other way. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the agenda item?
Jack Miller, 18 Rebound. Just off of what Mrs. Shortman said. I just got this tonight, thank you. I didn't have time to look at it. I made a statement here that it was cost me, taxpayer, $100,000. I have to go through this. Am I going to be okay if I go through this and then step up here next month or whatever it is and ask questions on this? I can do that, correct? Once I read this over?
Absolutely. And I would be glad to clarify anything or printouts, you know, to
Okay.
answer questions so you got all the facts.
Exactly. I don't want to stand up here and ask questions now because until I look at this, I don't want to make myself, you know, I don't want to say anything wrong. But I do have one other question.
And before you go, and I think what Mr. Semrau was offering was, so that
I'll
he-
call him direct.
Correct, so he can have the answers.
Absolutely. I'll do that, and then if I have something that I need to talk to everybody, I'll talk to everybody. Second thing, it was stated that last month, 2 weeks ago, that the committee was going to meet. The Democratic committee was going to meet that made this flyer. Just a question, have they met?
The committee has met, but as we stated at the last meeting, the issue will be discussed.
I understand, I just want to know, did the committee meet?
Yes.
It did, okay, that's all I have.
Anyone else, agenda item? Seeing no one, motion to close?
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any reports, Fred, do you have anything for us?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Jane? Any committee liaison reports?
Just that Christmas on the 8th was fantastic. Santa Claus coming to Waldenburg. It
I
was
think
a
it
good
was
day.
the most well-attended of all so far.
Worked out well with the PTA and the other lines.
Certainly did. Yeah, thank you and all the commissioners and the kids who cared who helped that day. It was certainly a great day. Anyone else? The only item I have is, first, this is our last meeting of 2013, is to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a very happy holiday and a new year, because we probably won't see each other in the new year. I want to thank the residents who do come out. It's important you do come out and stay engaged in what happens on a day-to-day basis here. I do wish more, public stay tuned, like those who are here regularly, so I thank you for that. I thank the governing body for a good year. We had a real good year, Bloomingdale. And I thank Fred for your professionalism and all you do and your staff for our borough. I thank Paul Rafosky, who's not with us tonight, but our engineer, who again works real well for our borough, and all our staff in the town, which I thank on a regular basis. You know, and it's not too many to name, but everybody. You know, it's just all our department heads, and finally the most amazing clerical staff upstairs, starting with Jane, a clerk, who's just unbelievable. The amount of work these three people, Jane, Terry, and Sherry, get done on a day-to-day basis is incredible. So I thank you, Jane, and for the record, Terry and Sherry, who wears about 20 hats, and we thank all of you. And I wanted to say tonight is Councilwoman Shortman and Councilman Conklin's last meeting, obviously, and in their humble ways, they didn't want any fanfare. They didn't want any fancy presentation or plaques, but I needed to acknowledge and thank both of you for your 3 years of service. I know we had some good times and we had a lot of rough times, and but I believe we had a lot of healthy debates, whether we agreed or not. Sometimes we did, actually, occasionally. But again, I thank you, Mark, for your time. And again, it takes a lot to dedicate, volunteer yourselves as you did to the borough. And you know the amount of hours it takes to do the job. So Linda and Mark both, thank you for your time when you served our borough.
I'd just like to say thank you for a very interesting 3 years. It was so much more work than I ever thought. It was the third time I was elected to serve on this council, and it was a real learning experience. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot more hours than you ever thought. I grew to really appreciate the volunteers that I was liaison to, and as John said, you get to work with the employees in town and the staff, and we're very fortunate to have such dedicated, great employees. It was a real pleasure. Thank you, and good luck moving forward.
Thank you. Man of so few words.
I'm good. Best thing I liked about it was the first aid did, was the lab jobs.
The first thing did, yeah, they are good.
So if you want to win that this year, I appreciate it.
I think you'll liaise out the second. But thank you, both of you. Anyone else have any comments? I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, which consists of adoption of minutes from the exec session regular on October 22nd, work session November 12th, executive regular for November 26th, as well as a letter from the Quantic River Sewer Authority on their 2014 annual budget. The consent agenda, who makes that motion? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Pending business. Need a motion to adopt resolution 2013 12.1, approval of transfer and delicensing of liquor license 1601 3388 008 009 NLS Management LLC. Right. Again, Mr. Souls is here with us this evening if anyone has any questions of him, but it's pretty cut and dry. We are simply deactivating a license that we had in one location, authorizing it for a new location. He has great plans that I hope serve him well, and I know will serve the borough well, with a German brew pub plan into Building Hills next to the antique shop, which he and his wife operate as well. So I for one, thank Fred for
Excuse me.
Yeah,
It's a pub, not a brew pub.
a pub.
You can't brew beer there.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification. Either way, it has the word pub in it. Again, thank you for making the investment in our downtown. And I believe ventures like yours are going to be the catalyst that continues further growth. So what we're doing tonight, guys, is just approving this transfer of license so that Fred can get underway and we can see some things in action. Well, it's got to go to planning board for some minor site approvals. So the question from Councilman D'Amato was, You know, in a perfect world, when would you want to see, you know, a ribbon cut?
Yes, sir.
Yesterday.
I'm,
Spring next year?
yeah, March,
Okay.
I'd like
Just to get an idea.
but we got, hopefully with the other meeting is February 13th, maybe we get in, hopefully,
Right.
cross our fingers.
For the planning board.
The planning board, yeah.
No, it is. People are talking about it. You know, you hung a banner up, and I know, hopefully, I know the community will support you, and I'm excited about it. So who makes that motion?
So,
Second?
Any further discussion? Need a roll call, please.
Councilmembers Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman. Yes. Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasti.
yes.
Fred, step one complete. Good luck. Yes.
Mr. Souls, when you're ready to activate that license, because right, it's still inactive, just come see me, we have to fill out 3 more pages.
I know.
We'll be good.
We talked about it quite a few times.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Okay, item, thank you. Adoption resolution under new business 2013-12.2, transfer resolution. That was the first one on the agenda, which you all have copied on. Total now $43,447. It's being transferred from various lines to, again, lines indicated on your sheets. Who makes that motion? So moved. Rich Delariva, second, please.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmembers Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yasti.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes. Thank you. And then item B, adoption resolution 2013-12.3, payment of the bills. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Any further discussion?
Yes, I have discussion. You have elevator maintenance. How often do you do that?
The elevator maintenance is, again, sometimes on a not as-need basis, but quarterly on a regular basis.
Okay, the other question I have is, we paid in November to have the election results delivered, and it's on this bill list also. Why is that?
Right, we have a special.
We have special
Oh,
elections.
Special election, that answers my question.
And hopefully we'll be reimbursed for that. We'll submit the paperwork.
Okay. Another comment I have is, it seems to me we're spending this year close to $20,000 for fences. Seems like a huge sum of money. We also are approving $8,000 for John Barron again for work. Maybe you could just outline for me what he does that our department can't do.
Okay, I believe we did that at the last meeting. Barrett Company still comes on our water main breaks. Primarily for his, obviously his plumbing license expertise, but the knowledge of our system. And really training our guys as we take over more and more work. Councilman Sasha, I know you had met with our utility superintendent, just asking similar, just type of questions. Maybe you can compound, you just had a meeting with Rocco, but that's, what we utilize him for. And the goal would be over time, that will lessen as our knowledge grows. The biggest thing, which I stated on the record numerous times, is what we have eliminated entirely is that subcontracting cost for trucks, machine operation, and that.
Used to subcontract his laborers also.
Right.
It's just him now as a supervisor pretty much there. Just give them, we don't full crew the whole time either. It's usually 1 or 2 guys or 3 that are there. So we just know the person there that understands where the valves are on water main breaks. Laterals and stuff like that, he's there for what Rock was describing as when they dig trenches, how to reinforce them, reinforce the trenches, reinforce on the sidewalk, smash them up. He has the expertise on that. We're still learning. And when over the next couple of years, they learn, and they
Goals for eliminating
Hasn't
subcontracting.
he been doing this for years? Haven't they been working that way together for years?
Primarily, in the past, it was him and his labor, his own subcontractors who did most of the work.
And on them to do the work?
No, his tractor, but they, sorry,
and his tractor.
and his machine, right, and his
Well, this
machine.
is $8,000. This is a lot of money.
But the average break prior to us doing what we do now, that same break would have been in excess of $60,000 to $70,000. Well, you know how many you voted on in the 3 years you served. The last few, between 4 and 8,000, are quite conservative numbers compared to the past.
In an ideal world,
Excuse me?
in an ideal world, it'd be nice not to have that.
Right, absolutely. That's the goal.
That is the goal.
Within 6 months, we've eliminated a good chunk of it. We should see less next year. That's the goal. Again, I think we're over 60,000 to date savings.
We spent over 80 here in the past.
We've averaged about 150,000 so in the past. Yes.
I was going to say, I also had a good conversation with the superintendent, just because we met in the hall and we were discussing things. There's also the fact that, I mean, my understanding from what he was saying is that a lot of our infrastructure is tribal knowledge. I mean, I know we've done a certain amount of mapping and stuff like that, but that doesn't go down to the individual valve level or anything like that in terms of if this cuts off and some of our valves are so old that they break and they need to know where the next one in line is or something like that. So, I think that is some of the expertise that is having to be turned over, is that we don't have a detailed written plan of where everything is, and it's all in essentially their heads.
Is there anything in the works with the mapping?
It's actually the sewer, the water portion, the stormwater is done. The sewer is about 95% done.
But that isn't like the water.
No, right, but it identifies your inlets, your.
Right. I'm just saying there's a lot of little details
Oh,
that
right.
we haven't addressed
Right.
yet.
It's not going to identify your laterals and like, but it gives us a map versus having no map prior. And that will have both an hard copy and digital form as well. So again, investments that weren't made are being made. Good. Anything else?
Just that I will be voting no as usual because as a public employee for 35 years, I don't think we should be spending money for refreshments at meetings.
Duly noted. Roll call.
Councilmembers Delarose.
Yes.
Short.
No.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Item C, Resolution 2013-12.4. Need a motion to approve shared service contract for construction services with the Borough of Kinnelon. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? This is a renewal of an existing contract that will run through 2018. It was a 2% annual increase. It will be 2% annual going forward. The initial sum, the amount of $191,408 for 2014. Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delarose.
Yes. Thank you. I need a resolution 2013-12.5, declaring water main emergency repair for Knowles Road. The amount to Barrett Company, $1,912.50, and to Seminaro Company, which is the company that locates the break underground before they dig, $975. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, can I have a discussion?
Yes, sir.
You know, we spent over $250,000 in equipment. We added $60,000 in overtime budget for the department. We would have spent $30,000. We're still hiring out second contract. Why don't we give up on this? It doesn't seem to make any sense.
We just had that
We
discussion.
did discuss that, but here we only have 3 more bills. And one is, and the third one is to be determined. That could be anything. We're approving something that never priced on.
Back to the emergency court, it has to be
Yeah,
settled.
I mean, we're approving it.
Well, let's back up. First of all,
It could be $80,000.
First of all, for the record, we did not spend $250,000 on equipment for the utility to deal with infrastructure maintenance. Okay?
What did we spend? We bought a
We
backhoe.
spent $150,000. We bought a backhoe and a Kubota.
And a dump truck.
The dump truck was a DPW replacement of a 20-year-old dump truck. Okay? which obviously it's used in every asset, that capacity can be used in, but that's not specific to this subject. I want to just distinguish that. You know that, you voted for it. The truck is separate from this
I
purpose.
voted for the truck, didn't vote for the
That's what I said, you voted for the truck. I know you, because it had to do with DPW. Again, 30 seconds ago, we discussed exactly this topic. The goal is to do it all in-house. We're 6 months into this, and we paid for 90% of the Kubota in the savings already. The Seven Arrow bill, I don't think will ever go away unless we buy the sonar, metal detector, whatever equipment's needed to discover that break 13 feet down in the ground. Okay, I can't imagine that purchase based on a $975 average call out for him. We discussed at every meeting, or the last 2 at least, Barrett's purpose. And it's a valuable purpose for that. I don't think anyone can dispute that. And the goal is only to get that. You have to admit, from your first day in office to where we are today, I think everyone's in-house doing a lot more, and the savings is apparent. We'll dispute that. So, I think that's for the road. And did we do a roll call? Any other comment, Mark? No, sir. Roll call.
Councilmember Sondermeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
No.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman.
Yes.
Next one, 2013-12.6, again, an emergency for Berry Street, the amount of $750. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
No.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman. Yes. Sondermeyer.
Yes.
And then 2013-12.7, emergency designation for Jeffrey Drive. As Councilman stated, we don't know, we haven't got final billing, the repair has been done. Based on Rocco's estimates, this combined should be less than $2,500, but you're authorizing it, declaring it an emergency. So who makes that motion?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Conklin.
No.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman. Yes. Sondermeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Okay, item F. Approval to hire Christina Clipperton as part-time employee in the construction office. A few meetings ago, I was given authorization to hire a replacement for an employee part-time who moved on from the borough, and after a few application review and an interview with the department head's recommendation, I ask you a motion to approve Christina Clipperton to memorialize it. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion?
Is she working the same hours, the same number
Yes.
of hours?
You posted the position to her?
Yes. But it's also, just remember, with the new white collar contract, it's at the 2009 hourly rate. So substantial savings. Roll call. Yes.
This is resolution 12.8.
I'm sorry.
Can't go further, I think.
Okay, so who made that motion?
I did.
Would you amend your motion to make the resolution 2013-12.8?
Yes.
And second again?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmembers Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman. Yes. Sondermeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes. Now I need authorization to adopt resolution 2013-12.9, giving the authorization to place a 2001 Ford, which is decommissioned by our staff, our DPW, no longer operable, onto auction on govdeals.com that we utilize. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Yes.
There's another vehicle that's going to go to auction for the fire department.
We can do it. Yeah. I'm giving that information, but you have to do it by resolution. I gotta get it to James and then so we'll do that next week. Okay, so roll call, please.
Councilmembers Delariva.
Yes.
Shortman.
Yes.
Sondermeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is resolution 2013-1210. This is authorization granting paid sick leave for a police department employee. Who makes that motion?
Backwards, Steve.
Sorry, who was that? John, second. And any further discussion?
Do you know about how long?
Um, It says in the resolution no later than May, what is it, 14? May 1st, 2014. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes. Okay. Item J, there's no action to be taken here. At our last meeting, we already authorized the reorg, swearing in, which is called reorg, because we are doing some resolutions. And we have to do some standard resolutions after swearing in, when your attorney, or maybe your bank account, and so on. And then on the 7th is we do all our other appointments and resolutions. But I want to just have further discussion with, because I really haven't had any with the governing body. Have you reviewed these dates? And it's the 2nd and 4th, see if it works. And you can always, at the January 1st or 7th, do a final adoption of the final schedule. Okay, so it's here for discussion. I'd ask you to maybe pull it out of your book, review it before we adopt it. I'd like to be consistent, but personally, there may be some conflicts. We might want to go to 1st and 3rd, but it's either all 1st and 3rd or all 2nd and 4th, so it doesn't really want to talk about. Okay, so no action there. Next item, I need a motion for Resolution 2013-1211 and 1212. These are state tax court refunds stated on the agenda. Who makes that motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Okay, item L, I need a motion to accept resignation of Elaine Petrosky as a member of the planning board effective, we really didn't need this because her term's up at the end of the year. This is the mayor's appointment. She wants an active role. The mayor's rep can't vote on variances, so she attended everything. So when a seat opens up, she wants to get back on, but in a different role, she can actually participate a little bit more. So, come pick it. Her appointment's up, it's an annual appointment, so we don't even have to accept the resignation. It was just her notified me in my effort to see who's coming back. Mayor's rep.
So technically, it's not even a vote.
Okay, and this was here for discussion, you're aware, at reorg, we'll be putting someone else in that position. Item M, adoption resolution 2013-1213, Chapter 159, amending the budget for a body armor grant in the amount of $25,54.97. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Thank you. And then resolution 2013-12.14, it's a motion to adopt resolution raising the bid threshold to $36,000 from $17,500 because we do have a qualified purchasing agent. Who makes that motion?
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion?
I just want to state for the record, when you change the bidding threshold like this, there's a number of factors that they say that's positive. One is, often when you bid at 17.5 or more, you have to submit a bid bond and other type of documents that it either discourages bidders or it raises the ultimate cost. Here they submit proposals instead. And the other thing it does is, if in fact your qualified purchasing agent, has two bidders very close, and you want to encourage local businesses, you can, because you can tell them, here's the here's the proposals, and they have the opportunity to essentially negotiate a better price, or if there's a vendor that you're not satisfied with, that basically lowballs a project, or is not familiar with it, or doesn't have that positive experience with the borough or other municipalities, the qualified purchasing agent could make a different recommendation to you. So there's actual benefits and cost savings that have been developed, and that's why the state came up with this type of legislation. So long as you have a licensed qualified purchasing agent. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Conklin.
No.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Short.
Yes.
Sondemire.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Okay, item O. I need a motion to approve organization called the Highland Grand Fonda, which is a national bicycle championship series, hosting a bicycle event on Sunday, June 8, 2014. They're just driving through town, although primarily hitting county roads. We're going to bless it, and then they have to also see county buses, so they're aware, which I'm sure they are. But it will be on a portion of Hamburg and Glenwell. The entire path of the bike race is in your folder. But they've come early to ask for this, so I need that motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Sherman. Sherman. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes. Okay, item P. Requesting the council to adopt resolution number 2013-12.15, resolution regarding proposed cell tower new regulations. This will be a resolution of the Borough of Bloomingdale opposing the notice of proposed rulemaking issued by the Federal Communications Commission entitled Acceleration of Broadband Deployment by Improving Wireless Facility Siting Policies. In essence, such regulation could strip local authorities, local governments, of our authority to regulate the building onto existing towers by the wireless industry, with no regard to our local planning, our local zoning, and our building codes. This is what this potential legislation could do. So we're doing a resolution to oppose it. This will be sent to Menendez, Senator Cory Booker. It has to do with the FCC. The League of Municipalities is on it. We're in the early stages. I don't think this will be really talked about until maybe part of 2014, but we want to get on this early, and we'll probably do another resolution next year as well. So, who makes that motion, please?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmembers Delariva.
Abstain.
Shorten. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Okay, and our non-agenda item is added. This was a second transfer in the amount of $21,610. Who makes that motion?
So moved.
I'm sorry, 2013-12.16 resolution. Moved by Yazdi, seconded
Second.
by Rich. Thank you. And any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Shorten. Yes. Sandemeyer.
Yes.
Yazdi.
Yes.
Conklin.
Yes.
Tomato.
Yes.
Delariva.
Yes.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to open late public comment? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to speak to an item, please come up, state your address for the record.
Hi,
How are
Mark
you?
Clausen, 133 Breland Ave. I have a question about the noise ordinance that we just passed in September. It seems to be a little confusing, and I'll show you exactly our prints copies. You want to get them out? So I
You
show
can, but I'll address what you're going to ask.
You know what I'm going to
I do know
ask,
what you're
and you want to just go ahead?
I will. Snow removal is excluded from the time frame, but not the decibel issue. So if you read the paragraph below the schedule of times allowed, it says snow removal operations excluded.
Okay, I see that, but I don't think it's clear to everyone that reads.
Well, it is now clear to our police department, who will ultimately be the enforcer of it.
Okay, so, go ahead.
And, yeah, and so there's no time issue on, I didn't think about it, because if someone has to get to work and has to start a snowball at 7 a.m., as much as it may bother the neighbors, they can under this ordinance. But it's the decibel issue that still cannot be violated. Now, by the time the Board of Health, with their decibel meter gets there, I'm sure the place will be plowed out. It's the only mechanism we have to enforce the decibel part. That's why we did this ordinance, because everything was defined by decibel. So what we did was, the construction, the power tools on a Saturday morning, with time restrictions, so you can't start at 5 a.m. Because previously it was rated by decibel only, and that's hard to enforce. But I don't even think a snowblower would ever violate our decibel ruling because it's 50 feet from the point of, it's not from the, if the snowblower's here, it's not the decibels here, it's 50 feet away from it.
You'd be surprised at
Well, again, but I don't know if anyone's going to be out there in 15 minutes measuring your decibel levels.
Okay.
But the issue is, No exclusions are removed from the timetable.
Well, so I guess the thing.
And any interested party has been informed of that as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, a few questions. First, the audit report for 2012, when is that going to be put up on the website?
The audit report 2000.
Right, the audit report with financial statements.
Yeah, all right, we'll check in the morning.
Okay, the next question is, you said that you're going to be paying the new ACO out of the trust fund?
It's, yeah, the 19,000 increase will come out of, it doesn't affect the overall budget. I think I said trust fund.
Okay, well, in 2011, the license fees were $11,739, and the miscellaneous fees were $24,904, and there were expenditures of $21,953. And I know there's been a lot of expenditures coming out of the trust fund that, I don't know if it's appropriate anyway, but I don't see how you're going to have an additional $19,000 left over, because in every year so far, you've had less than that. You've had like maybe $13,000 to $12,000 left over, and you're planning on taking out an additional $19,000.
Well, it's not, again, from finance advises the council, myself, that this increased payroll was sufficient in the current operating budget to cover. So I guess we can have this discussion in 14.
Yes, we will. Also, I noticed that in this year's budget, there was a reduction in the shared service revenue for the animal control.
We lost North Caldwell, but overall there was, we increased, every other one renewed. So we ended up with about a $14,000 increase on renewal, with like a net, couple $1,000 net because we lost North Caldwell. But it wasn't a full loss. Like, I don't have to use your numbers. If North Caldwell paid us $25,000, we only lost 7 of that because of the increase on renewal.
Well, the question relates to that.
Those are round numbers.
If we have less towns that we are serving now, the animal control services, why do we need a full-time, additional full-time ACOs?
Well, because at the same time, the borough took on the full-time operation of an animal shelter, which, you know, those ACOs are a big part of it as well.
It's only going to cost $30,000 a year, right?
And we haven't exceeded that, we will not exceed that.
So by you pushing the money into the trust fund, therefore you're saying you're not going to exceed it.
We're not going to exceed 30,000. 30,000 is specifically for the shelter. We will not exceed that. And that's surely 3 years doing it. You know, most operations would go up to 2% of what we have.
But they didn't.
Because there's been a substantial amount of revenue from surrender fees, from adoption fees, and the like that have helped, you know, the budget as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
And one last.
Well, we had a Paquonic on a Monday so far for Mondays.
I'm just saying that it was
Which
an
adds-
increase, which I don't think we put in the budget.
No, well, no, because that was
Right,
just anticipated
exactly.
last month. So that'll be, it's a Monday coverage for now. You know, hopefully that grows, but now Monday's only. So that'll be an added revenue. But we're always looking and seeking and planting seeds to do more. But again, very good shape.
Well, still, you haven't answered my question around it, you never specifically answered it, is that if we only have additional maybe $12,000 or $13,000 in the trust fund, and additional funds for this new ACO, $19,000, how is that going to be paid?
Again, I've been assured by the finance department that the trust fund will be able to absorb the $19,000.
Okay, and why do we need the additional ACO if we have the same amount of towns? I don't understand that. You're saying because it's for the animal shelter? But you're not paying the animal shelter fees out of the budget, you're paying it you're taking it out of the trust fund instead.
You know previously our one full-time ACO officer, correct?
Yes?
Do you know the amount of hours that individual works?
No, I don't.
The second full-time person was desperately needed for a
We
number.
had 2 part-time.
Correct. Correct. But we needed an additional full-time person to cover the workload, to assist another person who was probably working 70-plus hours a week, 80 hours a week. Jane can attest to that. And it was the right call. It was absolutely the right thing to do.
Okay, so you tell me that now we're going to have the money in the trust fund, I guess I'll see when it gets up there, how much you have left over.
I look forward to seeing you. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Jack Miller, Reback.
Jack, how are you?
Good, how are
Good
you?
to see you.
Good to see everybody. Question for you, Mayor.
Yes.
On the flooding stuff,
Yes, sir. Where's your stuff?
just, number one,
Call Paul. He said he was working on
okay.
it. And he actually said he was going to call you, but I would ask you to call him.
Okay, I'm gonna call
Say
him
what you
because
want.
Mr. Councilman D'Amato gave me a brochure a couple weeks ago about the flooding stuff that was down at that.
Lee? Yep.
Yeah, I want to talk to him, and maybe you have, that's why I want to ask you. The way he was talking about that swale in the middle of
Right.
Sloan
Right.
would be a perfect,
And
I think, for this.
Right. And matter of fact, the irony is, the DEP's last correspondence was they're not thrilled with our riprap idea on that swale.
Okay.
And they're looking for other mechanisms, and this may be the answer. We are really, really close to final approval on this.
Okay.
And that was their last issue, was the swell part. So,
Okay.
again,
I mean, that's a good idea.
I implore you to call Paul, because he can answer it
Okay.
better than I can, but we're close.
All right, and what concerns me is weather that we're having this winter, with snow that's above, that's gonna come this way when it melts. So I just encourage you to lean on, and I'll lean on,
Yeah, yeah.
because we got to do something.
Yeah, you know,
It's been a long
you know we know.
I understand.
Okay, and believe me, we do everything in our power to get it through the channels. And we're up, I think we're over 15 permits now. Had an objector, which, this has stalled a bit. And we're close.
Okay.
No, absolutely, because you'll hear what I hear, and, we've been to Trenton a dozen times, and we're getting close. Matter of fact, the DEP called Paul and said, hey, tell your mayor, stop calling us.
No, don't stop.
Well, and I really wasn't, making a real pain in the neck out of myself, but I would talk to my governor's liaison, my DEP liaison, and apparently got back to the powers to be, and, they're like,
That's
we're
good.
working on it. No, I know,
That's
but
good.
it was,
All right.
I thought maybe you were calling it, I'd say you were married, don't
Listen, you can use my name, it doesn't matter, go ahead, throw it out there. I personally would like to thank Council and Mr. Conklin and Councilwoman Mrs. Shortman for their time. Thank you for putting the time in for the town. Thank you, I really appreciate it. And everybody, have a great holiday.
You too, Jack. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, motion to close. We have one matter for executive session. I'm sorry, Jane, just one. That's Fred's fault. Okay, just one matter of litigation, potential litigation. There'll be no action out of executive. So again, everyone, I need a motion to go in executive.
So moved.